We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video we are covering the modes in the new MLB The Show 23. This is just going to be a very brief video that shows all the different mode tiles, so to speak, on the main page, and I'll just kind of give you a little bit of a description of each of the different ones, and then we'll do more in-depth stuff with separate videos. So again, this one is just to explain what we got here on the main page, all the different modes you can go to. So let's just go ahead and kick it off. So when you log in, you'll just see these main ones up top. These are the ones that I usually play, so I don't really know if they change if you decide to play like other modes more often. But my guess is that this is going to be pretty standard. Let's see, they are not covered in the ones below, so they probably won't change. So what we got up here is we got Road to the Show. That's kind of like your story mode or career mode, so to speak, where you get to make your player and you get to determine, what position you want to play. In years past, there's been things where you can just get randomly drafted by a team, or you can, pick where you want to be drafted, and you work your way from the minors all the way up to the majors. The next one is Diamond Dynasty. Diamond Dynasty is my favorite mode. Why? Because you get to collect a bunch of cards, not only from players that are playing right now, but also legends and flashbacks. So what those are, legends would be players from quite a while ago, anywhere from, probably 30 to 100 plus years ago, which is crazy to have that far back of content for players in the game. There's tons of different modes, even just in Diamond Dynasty. You can purchase stubs, which you can see in the upper left-hand corner of my screen where it says 10,000. Because I got the Captain Edition, I automatically started with 10,000. But you do earn stubs along the way, just completing different tasks. And like I said, there's tons of different modes where you can get stuff, so we'll cover that in a separate video, because there's way too much to be throwing into this one. March to October, so this is kind of like a fast-paced franchise mode. March to October is you pick a team, and you kind of just play specific moments throughout the season. So when you jump into a game, it'll probably start around the 6th or 7th inning for the first one, and then as you go throughout the season, let's say a player gets called up, well then you'll have to be a player locked of that player and try to do very well to give them some stat boosts for the rest of the year. You don't play every single game. If you are successful with some of your little tasks that you have, like I mentioned a second ago with the player doing well, if you accomplish those little tasks, then your team builds momentum. So then you won't have to play all the games. It'll just kind of use your momentum as ways of quote-unquote playing the games. So if your team is hot from being good at the different moments, well then it'll give you wins as you go, as opposed to like if you aren't successful and your team gets cold, well then you will lose a little more often. So it gets that little dynamic of speeding up the process if franchise is a little too slow for you. You don't have to play every single game. So franchise is a bit more in depth than March to October. They are very similar with the structure, like I would say the bones of the mode, so to speak, where you control your team, you control trades, you control free agency, all that good stuff, lineups, pitching rotation. But it's a bit more hands-on, and you do get the option to play every single game. In March to October, you do not get the option to play every single game. Like I said, it simulates a handful of them for you, whereas franchise, you can just go right in and you can play every single game. You can just manage the games if you want to, but you control every aspect of your team. The Negro Leagues, this is the new storylines for this year, which is probably one of the most exciting things that they brought in. They worked very closely with the Negro Leagues Museum. I believe the guy that's in charge of the museum is the guy that basically worked very closely with them to make sure that everything is extremely accurate, fun, and we play through a bunch of moments with, I think there's 8 players that they highlighted. They keep calling it Season 1, and it's kind of hard to determine whether that means that there's going to be more storylines added this year, or if that means Season 1 is for this game, and like Season 2 will be in the next MLB The Show game. So currently, if you go into the Negro League storylines, you'll pick one of the 8 players, and you kind of get like a mini documentary series about the players, so you can kind of learn about them, but also you get different moments that you get to play along their career. So like, for instance, if one of the players, had a huge moment where they hit a home run and won the game, you'll probably play that moment and then, recreate it. So you get to learn about a handful of players. I'm very excited to get into that. Let's see. Down here we have a handful of other options. Probably the less popular, because the most popular ones are up here in the main area. But Challenge of the Week. So if you do Challenge of the Week, which isn't something I've really done, I don't know, I tend to not score very well. If you go into the Challenge of the Week and you try and you get a very high score, you get ranked amongst all the other players that are playing MLB The Show 23. And the players that rank, I think within the top 100, get certain awards. The top 3 get like really good rewards, and then the rest of them get like stubs and stuff. So if you're into that, where you want to go ahead and try the Challenge of the Week, you can win some cool stuff. Moments, so it says play as legends and superstars to relive or rewrite baseball history. So this is where, like I was mentioning with the Negro League storylines, is like if something big happens, you will be able to replay certain situations. So I think last year, one of the moments that could be done was when, either last year or the year before, Miguel Cabrera had a game-winning home run through a snowstorm, and you got to recreate that. So a little bit of an example of one of those moments. Home Run Derby, pretty self-explanatory. You get to play the Home Run Derby. You can play it online with friends, or you can play offline. I will say, if you do any of the online features that requires another physical person to play with you, you will need an online subscription. So the reason why I emphasize it that way is because if you're playing like Diamond Dynasty, for example, there's a lot of offline quote-unquote modes for you to play. Diamond Dynasty is a very much a live service, so it means it requires online to be able to play it. However, you don't need an online subscription unless you're actually playing with other people. So with all the single player content that is in Diamond Dynasty, for example, you won't need that subscription. Same thing here with Home Run Derby. If you're going to play with friends over the internet, you're going to need a subscription to PlayStation Plus. But if you're playing offline, you won't need that. Exhibition for Play Now, that's just basically a pickup game. You and a computer, or you and a friend in local play mode, you can go ahead and do a game together. Exhibition live rosters. Make sure that it makes sure that your rosters are up to date, because the company does release roster updates every now and then where they move players if they were traded or sent up and down within their team's organization. But they also do stat updates too. So, let's say my favorite team, the Detroit Tigers, let's say Javier Baez just starts lighting things up in April and May, well, his stats will go up for live series. But let's say he doesn't do so well, his stats might go down. So they tend to keep up with that stuff pretty well and fairly accurate. Online rated, test your skills in a competitive online exhibition match. So that's playing somebody online. Retro mode, so this is kind of like RBI baseball, if you've ever played that before. It's like the old RBI baseball. I believe there was even at one point there's a 8-bit mode where it kind of looks like it's from back when the original game came out. So retro mode is essentially using your PlayStation controller as a controller from the past, and it's, you know, moving your character left and right in the batter's box with your analog stick and then just pushing a button to swing, stuff like that. Very, very simple, but a little harder in my opinion. I used to play RBI baseball, the one that was out recently, and just wasn't my thing as far as having to move your player in the box. Postseason. So postseason is you just build a bracket. You can pick whatever teams you want to be in that postseason bracket, and then you just try to win the World Series. Custom leagues, play with friends in a flexible online multi-season experience using customizable settings. So this is where you sign up, like you and a bunch of friends can make an online league where you can play against each other. So let's say you pick the Detroit Tigers and your friend picks the Cleveland Guardians. So when that matchup happens, then you will have to be sitting and playing together at the same time. Online co-op, so you can jump in and have a friend play with you against another team. So one person will control pitching, one will control batting, and I think it flip-flops every now and then. Don't quote me on that because I really don't play that mode, but I do know that you can play with a friend and then you each control one at a time. Custom practice, so you can go ahead and practice the different, like if you want to practice hitting, you can go in there and practice hitting. If you want to practice pitching, you can go in and practice pitching, stuff like that. And then options explorer, you can learn more on how to play the show. So that's kind of a very brief overview of all the different modes. Again, I will go into more detail about my favorite mode, being Diamond Dynasty, in a video very soon. Before we go, I do want to mention one really cool thing about Diamond Dynasty and all these other modes. So when you play Diamond Dynasty, there is a XP path, so to speak, where you can unlock different cards, packs, stubs, whatever. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff. When you're playing Diamond Dynasty, you earn XP towards that rewards path, but that's not the only way. If you're playing Road to the Show, for example, or if you're playing March to October or Franchise, the Negro Leagues, whatever, if you are earning XP during that game, so like if you're playing and your half inning is over and you see like plus 200 XP, in any game mode, that goes towards Diamond Dynasty. So, you know, if the modes in Diamond Dynasty currently aren't your thing, or if there's like a season that you're just not into, you can do these other modes and still earn XP towards the XP rewards. So make sure that if you are focusing on some of those rewards for Diamond Dynasty, that you are well aware that you can get XP from all the other modes. That's very, very cool. Good stuff, especially, you know, for me, I want to unlock those rewards for Diamond Dynasty, but at the same time, maybe I want to try March to October, but, you know, maybe the season's almost over and I need XP, so it would make me want to force myself to play Diamond Dynasty. You don't have to do that. You can actually go into any mode and earn that XP. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when more of these MLB The Show 23 videos drop. Diamond Dynasty is coming next. I bet you can tell I'm excited because I keep talking about it. Drops a like if you like the video, and drops a comment letting us know what you are most excited about from MLB The Show 23. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.